A terrific Thursday to you. Welcome back inside the never imitated, therefore never duplicated Tier 4 studio in Morgantown, West Virginia for the Charleston Daily Mail. I am Mike Casazza, and you were wondering, Spec, what happened on day 8, first day of the second week of preseason camp at WVU? Well, let me tell you. The fun with, maybe even at the expense of, the reporters covering the Mountaineers continued here with a little bit of subtle hijinks with special teams and quarterbacks. Allow me to explain in a moment. First, let's rewind to the day's earlier highlights, which was Dana Holgorsen's press conference, and a moment where he shed some light on, maybe even threw some shade at William Crest returning punts for the Mountaineers. This has become the object of my obsession this summer for no real reason that I can explain, and hopefully you can just tolerate it for a couple more seconds here. What Dana said, though, was that he never knew William was going to be returning punts the first practice. He just looked down there and saw the high school All-American quarterback returning punts and said, "Nah, that looks good. Let him keep doing it." Reason being, it makes sense. As we suspected, there is a practical purpose. It does him no harm to miss a couple quarterback drills and throwing the ball in a net, or dodging pads and things like that. There is instead benefit seeing the ball, catching the ball, working on hand-eye coordination, or just getting acclimated to the size and the speed of the college game. It's new to him, which means it won't be new the first time he's out in the field if he can get a couple punt return reps under his belt. And just when Dana made it all start to make sense, he refused to pull the plug on the experiment, or even let us know that it wasn't a possibility. He said if Crest isn't a starter or an impactful part of the offense at quarterback, why not let him return punts? If he's the best guy or the second best guy, why not let him do that? Why not let him help the team in that way? So I don't know what to tell you. The question was asked, it was answered, and I'm not sure the conversation is any different now than it was before when we're at the water cooler, but if that happened, we'll put it in our pocket as we move forward. And we did move forward in the practice today, and we saw special teams. And given that conversation with Holgorsen and the fact that they know they're messing with the list a little bit on this topic, you figure you're going to see punt returns, right? PAT field goal and kickoff returns. Kickoff returns, usual suspects returning kicks, nothing really news about. Guys like Mario Alford or Russell Shell as your first team, and remember, Shell did return kicks at Pitt. Your second team, Drayvon Henry, Darryl Worley. People have asked me, why isn't Drayvon Henry returning punts? He was a really exciting playmaker with the ball in his hands on offense and special teams in high school, and just doesn't seem like punt returns for him. Maybe he's not interested, maybe they're not interested in him, but it's not on the table with the Mountaineers. And the third team, Wendell Smallwood, Jordan Thompson. I wouldn't tier them as I just did. That just happened to be the order they went. Certainly Smallwood can be a guy who returns kicks because he was the guy last year. Shell has done it before. Worley looks really, really good at it. Anything might happen with that order there. Curious to me, though, were the two people blocking on one of the situations, and that was Dustin Garrison and Dreamus Smith. If you've been following, you know that Dustin Garrison seems to be getting really, really good at a lot of things, blocking, receiving, in addition to running. And now I just wonder, has he added special teams duty to his portfolio? Maybe he's just a guy right now who has told himself, I'm going to help this team any way I can, and the coaches are listening and they're using him. And you wouldn't be surprised to learn that a guy like Dreamus Smith, as big as he is, as strong as he is, maybe even now as experienced as he is similarly capable. But they were the back two guys blocking on kickoff returns in one drill. And to me, it's just fun to see guys do stuff like that, maybe volunteer themselves, maybe make use of their abilities in many other ways instead of the position that they're at. The PAT field goal, interesting for just one note, no Josh Lambert. Don't panic, don't freak out. They gave him yesterday off, they gave him today off. They want to keep that leg in shape, cool, calm, collected for as long as they can. Remember the butt strain last year? It affected him. It was a product of overuse, overexertion. Let's let him cool off for a couple of days in the summer, maybe even throughout the season. That gate can only swing so many times before you get some side effects. When he's out, Michael Molinari was in as the kicker, which means the holder was kicking, and someone has to hold. That was Nick O'Toole, who looked like he had a handle, I guess, on the situation, uneventful. Got to see first team offense, first team defense. Surprises there? Not really any. Mike Colicchio is your left tackle, though, because Adam Pankey was in a green jersey, which means limited participation. But the rest of the offensive line, as expected. Quentin Spain, Tyler Orlowski, Mark Lewinsky, and Marquise Lucas. Those guys have taken just about every rep together. It was notable today that Hanky was not in there because how often had those five not worked together in the summer? Not very often apart from that. Clint Trickett was your quarterback. Your first running back was Russell Shell. It had been Dreamer Smith the other day. Make nothing of that. Cody Clay was in as the tight end, fullback, H-back. And the three receivers, Kevin White, Mario Alford, and Jordan Thompson, who is pleasing everybody with his play right now. For a day, he flipped with the Tequil shorts. The defense, a couple notes there. The ends, Christian Brown and Shaquille Riddick. The other day, it had been Dontrell Hyman. Nose was Kyle Rose. Your linebackers, Wes Tonkery, and then two new ones, Al-Rashid Benton and Edward Muldrow. And people are telling me Edward Muldrow is coming, guys. He is a guy who can run from the outside and make plays in the backfield if he keeps his head together. It's hard for a guy like that to play fast, play reckless, and your first extended playing time. He does make some mistakes. Dana Holgerson said he blew some gaskets the other day, but he is pushing Isaiah Bruce right now. Cornerbacks, no surprises. Worley, Icky Banks. Safeties, well, there's three of them. Two of them weren't surprises, Carl Joseph and Henry. But in place of Dayron Wilson, who has thus far been maybe one of the better stories of camp, in that the junior college walk-on now has a scholarship, and actually intercepted a pass with the second string later in practice. Well, he didn't come with the first string today. That was instead Cullen Christian, who seems like he might finally have his legs underneath him now. He and Wilson are making the most of the absence of K.J. Dillon, who was in a green jersey today. That's an upgrade. He's probably not far away from returning to practice, dealing with a pretty bad left ankle sprain. And now the hijinks I talked about earlier. There were no punt returns. That was part of it. The other part of it may have just been the product of our own observation and insecurities as reporters, but Trickett was in a red jersey. Red generally means you're not practicing. Jared Barber, for example, walks around the field in a red jersey because he's not practicing as he gets over an ACL. Why in the world is Trickett in a red jersey? Is he injured? Did he have a setback with the right shoulder? Does that explain why Crest wasn't returning punts today? Because they don't want to get him hurt. Maybe he gets moved up to the first team in practice. And no, stop. Dana Holgerson has a hierarchy of quarterbacks in practice. And guys you can touch, you can't touch, and the guys you can kind of touch. And that's what the jersey color coding is for. White, Skylar Howard, hit him. Let him get used to the game. Let him get used to getting tackled and chased and knocked on the ground and what it feels like. It's good reps for him. Gold, Crest, Paul Millard. You can kind of hit him. Don't slam him to the turf. Don't hit him out of bounds, certainly. Don't smack him in the head for no reason. You know, these guys might be needed later on. So go easy on them. Red jersey. If you touch this guy, you're running till you puke. Hands off of Clint Trickett. He's the quarterback. That's why he wears red. So don't worry. He's not injured. There's no big deal there. It's just a thing that if you touch him, there's consequences. If you hit the other guys in goal, that's okay. Just don't go too hard and have at it with the guy in white. I'm wondering how many people made a big deal out of that. Who knows? But for one day, the hijinks continued at Mountaineer Field. For the Charleston Daily Mail, I am Mike Casaza. Take time to tell your friends. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.